This is MTV News at 6.
According to Harold Camping and thousands of his followers, today is Judgment Day, or rather it was supposed to be a few moments ago. Camping and his $74 million church have been preaching the end is near on billboards and RVs. Well, most of the world, it seems, isn't holding their breath. ABC's Ron Claiborne has more. They're calling Nebraska for Romney right now. We have some applause in the background because not everyone here at Bob Gary's camp is necessarily a supporter of President Obama. We've got a lot of Republicans and Democrats. Thanks, Seth and Colleen. It certainly was the threat heard around the world, and it came with a standing ovation from cattlemen. You'd have to live here to know how to get here in this minimal maintenance road. If it gets cold again below freezing, there's a chance the Platte River will once again freeze up, forcing all this water back over Shoemaker Road. She says that the man came in from behind, grabbed her shoulders, threw her on the ground, and then demanded she hand him all the cash. Yeah! I just love it. Do you want to see him again? Yeah. Well, the State Fair Board has been trying as long as the State Fair has been in Grand Island to get these here.
This is MTV News at 10.
A 75-year-old Kansas man was killed when his antique tractor rolled on top of him at the Nebraska State Fair this morning. The Nebraska State Patrol says Charlie DeWeese was trying to load his 1936 John Deere tractor onto a trailer when this accident happened. Now, the man fell off the tractor and was pinned reportedly beneath it after the tractor's right rear tire slipped off the ramp. State Patrol officials say DeWeese took part in Saturday's attempt to set a new record for the largest tractor parade. Furthermore, fair officials say 1,139 tractors were brought to the fairgrounds in Grand Island, representing 31 states. DeWeese traveled to Nebraska with his family from Kansas, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family now. Any new information tonight regarding a vehicle accident that happened this evening just 3 miles north of Bertrand. Now, officials are reporting that it was a one-vehicle rollover crash and a female was ejected from that car. Well, the occupant was cited for driving under the influence of alcohol, along with a minor in possession. Now, officials are still currently investigating that crash, but also mentioned they will be investigating the procurement of alcohol. The victim of the crash was transported to Phelps Memorial in Holdridge, and that victim also the driver, of course. Now, the Nebraska U.S. Senate candidates took aim at each other as we head into the final months of campaigning. Our very own Nick Starling was there yesterday, complete in action. And Nick, just tell us more about what they focused on. I know, and there even Fox News channel's trying to get them right now, and no one's saying either one. So we appreciate your coverage on this, your two-day coverage. It was excellent. Nick Starling live in our studio. Well, next to all of the food and games, The Animals, a competition at the Nebraska State Fair, draws students from all across the state, and it's the education competitions, including science projects, essays, graphic designs, and performances. Some of the achievements submitted for display, others taking place on fairgrounds. Well, that's part of the performance category where students act scenes that they have little prep time for, and then they're judged on that performance. Students want more of their peers to take part in the events. Well, the perks for these young students, top 2 winners in each category, they get a scholarship, and all participants free entry onto the fairgrounds. In other local news tonight, a deadline for Grand Island Mayor Jay Vavricek to have a chance to submit a 60-word defense statement. Well, that date, it's tomorrow. This possible statement comes after the recent recall that was placed against him. You might remember this. Now, the recall petition was filed by Jeb Wolfsleben, a former city council candidate himself, and it came 1 month after Vavricek asked for and received the resignation of city administrator Mary Lou Brown. Well, Vavricek was censured by the city council on August 3rd for bringing Brown back to work, essentially, is how you can look at it. Well, now Vavricek has until tomorrow to file a 60-word defense statement. From there, petitions will be prepared, and recall organizers will then have 30 days to gather a little over 3,200 signatures of registered voters. Well, if enough signatures are verified, a recall election will begin at the end of this year. 2 homes near Lake McConaughey were destroyed by a grass fire that burned this weekend over 20 acres. Now, officials are reporting that the homes and a storage building in the Cedar View area near that lake were heavily damaged by the fire that happened yesterday afternoon. The fire started near Highway 82 and spread quickly because of 40-mile-an-hour winds. Fire officials say firefighters were able to contain that blaze, but the homes were burning before firefighters even had a chance to arrive. Mall says it appears that the homes were vacation homes. A boat and 2 jet skis were also destroyed in that fire. Schools are looking to the future of technology to save an age-old dilemma that's come to light. Studies show the average weight of a kid's backpack runs between 10 to 22% of their entire body weight. Get this, that means for a 90-pound 7th grader, their backpack tips the scales at 20 pounds. Most of that can be blamed on textbooks, but not at every school anymore, as Northwest makes a switch to digital. Well, Northwest is leasing 730 iPads for all their students this year and next. Now, although it's a $170,000 investment per year, they're saving thousands on the cost of textbooks by utilizing ebooks. And also, those kids are saving their backs. A central Nebraska community gathers to raise money and awareness for a special cause. Members of Team Bailey Bunch host a fundraiser for the Down Syndrome Association Walk that's happening in Lincoln this coming October. Bailey Graham was born with Down syndrome, but luckily she didn't have any of those severe medical problems such as heart issues that may be associated with it. Support like this does help bring the awareness to the genetic disorder. Well, money raised at today's fundraiser will go towards the Nebraska chapter of Down Syndrome Association for Families. Still ahead on NTV News, an Ohio man pleads not guilty to murder charges.
It felt like it was a done deal.
He acted like it was a cut and dry deal.
It seemed like it was a done deal.
Just be honest with us and let us know.
Is it a done deal? I mean, has Rockville been determined to be closed?
Absolutely not. We are gathering information at this point.
Tonight, Rockville still has its post office, and it will have it tomorrow too, but officials are taking stock, and it could put this town out of one more business.
I asked the question, what can we as a community do to make this work for them? He had no answers for us.
Monday night's meeting took its toll, leaving some feeling like Goliath has pinned.
It's frustrating when Washington constantly wants to come out and attack the rural communities to solve a national problem. $8.5 billion, I don't think closing 10 or 90 small post offices in small towns in rural United States is going to be a solution.
It's a $6 million fix, or roughly 0.7% of the USPS operating budget. To me, that just doesn't sound like quite enough.
Well, that's a lot of money to us. When we're losing $30 million a day, we're looking to save every penny and every nickel and every dime we can.
I'm a realist. I understand if it's not working, it's not working. But it appears to me to start at the very bottom when there's a huge problem isn't going to be much of a solution.
But the USPS is already trimming across the board, closing one post office in Lincoln, 3 in Omaha, and cuts 15% of its administration staff last year.
This isn't just one area that the Postal Service thinks that we can save everything. It's at every level of the organization.
I would be more willing to pay more per stamp than not have a post office.
Unfortunately, the USPS isn't leaving the decision up to them. Well, Colleen and Seth, they say it's intended for college students. The pro-life website for the pamphlet suggests handing these out at student unions or underneath dorm room doors, but today they were handed out to preteens.
Hello, Bar families. This is Mr. Court calling to let you know that on Tuesday, February 15th, a pro-life group will be handing out brochures to students after school.
That's the message parents got yesterday after alerting themselves they couldn't say no.
We worked with our SROs and police department just on what can we do, and legally, nothing.
The Constitution protecting their right to assemble and hand out literature.
If they had a college here, I'd go to it, but there's not a college here.
Well, there's a Central Community College.
Yeah, but that's a little different story. It's kind of hard to get into there.
So the group's decision to go to the middle school.
I think it's a good idea to let the kids know they have a choice, what the choices are.
Do you think it's appropriate that they're here at the middle school?
Yeah.
That there's 11-year-olds in this building, and that's a bit young to be discussing such a topic.
Are you telling kids to take this information and talk with their parents about it?
Well, I don't tell them that, but
exactly the problem, says one mom on Facebook, saying it needs to be done in a manner where parents are part of the discussion.
whether they act on it or not, that's up to them.
Your child does not have to take their brochures. We will be
This is going to be happening. Please take the opportunity to talk with your student, share your beliefs.
Do you want your kids to pick up the literature? Or?
Yeah.
You do? Yeah. Picking up or passing on, the college-intended flyers got into little hands.
7th and 8th graders is about as low as I care to go, maybe 6th graders, but that's it. I do think that if I do save one human life here at this school, it's worth it.
Well, Seth and Colleen, the group intends to go to Grand Island Senior High next and also wants to go to Cedar Hollow Elementary where, yes, 7th and 8th graders do go, but also 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders too.
This is corrosive, toxic, nasty oil that we do not need in our water.
Outside Pershing Center, the gloves come off.
Foam hands, what are they made of?
They're chanting that our foam hands are made from oil, and they're right. We realize we're a part of the problem. We support the pipe. We don't support its route.
Over 800 people representing all sides of the issue battle it out.
We don't want your dirty oil. This is what democracy looks like.
To win the ear of the U.S. State Department.
Canada is a friendly and reliable neighbor, and even now is our #1 source of imported oil.
It's hard not to notice their fake smiles standing over there.
Working with them on the Keystone Pipeline will strengthen our energy security, thus easing our dependence on imports from countries unfriendly to us.
About to destroy something that's near and dear to Nebraskans' hearts.
This is just one of 8 public hearings the State Department is holding across the 1,700-mile stretch of the pipeline.
The final EIS is just one factor considered in the review process. It does not represent a final decision on the permit application.
Allowing citizens to weigh in before the State Department approves or denies the pipeline.
The majority of Nebraskans clearly agree with those who booed the TransCanada commercial at the first 2 Cornhusker football games.
Nebraskans who really fear this, their emotions based on this pipeline, need to think a little bit about the risks we take in the Middle East.
The round robin of debate continues, both sides unrelenting. The only point of agreement, it all comes down to Nebraska. Annie Andrews in Lincoln for NTV News. Did you get emotional just seeing it like that?
Yes. Again, I had the car for maybe 6 years. Kind of got attached to it. I told you I even had a name for it.
What was the name?
Elizabeth. It's a female because, you know, females can be moody, and cars do.
It wasn't until police came to take her statement that Elena Miller heard the news.
She asked me if I had heard anything on my car, and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, well, we have it.
Or rather, what's left of it after Ian Christensen allegedly stole it out of her driveway, knocking down mailboxes on a joyride, then torching it with a friend.
I asked the officer if anybody had been hurt, and she said that nobody was in the vehicle. I said, well, is anybody else hurt? You know, I was thinking of pedestrians, maybe anybody else driving their car, anybody at their property, you know, at their houses. And she said no. So I was very thankful for that.
Thankful, but still upset.
Violated, hurt, angry. Really angry.
Angry enough to want to face her perpetrator attending his arraignment, but instead coming face to face with his father.
And he said, so is your car a total loss? I said, yes. And he said, we knew nothing. We didn't know anything that was going on. And the dad apologized multiple times. And I just told him it wasn't his fault. And yes, you as a parent do the what ifs again. You know, what if I wouldn't have done this with them or told them this? But at some point you need to accept that they're an adult now. They are allowed to make their own decisions. You just pray that they do the right thing.
As Miller sees it, there's only one person to blame, and if she met him on the street, she would tell him this.
To remember that people work hard for their money, and then they buy things with their money, to have respect. Just because he doesn't have something doesn't mean he should go out and steal it.
Grand Island's Mission of Mercy is forced to close their doors 9 hours early, ending the 2-day free dental clinic. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight at 10. Organizers were faced with a heartbreaking reality. Despite the full staffing turnout yesterday, today they were severely short on dentists and supplies. Despite many getting turned away, in the end, the focus can be summed up in one woman's smile.
Smile, the not being able to really laugh, not being confident.
As tears began to flow, Melissa Wood is unable to finish the memory that still haunts her.
He just got married, and she had to go through not having her front teeth for pictures in the wedding.
Her son's happiest day was also one of pain, but now there's another reason for Wood to smile.
Because my daughter's getting married.
Wood's happy ending almost didn't happen. Lack of supplies and volunteers put the clinic in a pinch.
5 o'clock we started letting patients in. At 6:30 we looked at the number of dentists that we had. At 8 o'clock we reconsidered, and at 8:30 we started turning patients away.
More than 900 patients were seen yesterday. Today, a third of that.
We look at that as a bit of a failure, but we also look at the success that we had seeing over 1,200 patients in the last day and a half.
Patients like Melissa, who may not find their happy ending, tug at the dentist.
I think it's a shame that we didn't have the turnout of dentists that we needed, and I think it's a shame that we ran out of supplies. It's unfortunate that we had to turn so many people away.
You'd love to be here for a week, but it's one of those endeavors that takes so much organization, so much time and energy, and I'm so dang tired right now.
Much better, huh?
Much better.
And at the same time, patients like Melissa remind them of why they came.
I'm so glad that these people have decided to come here and share their talents with us, that they've taken the time and the effort to be here for the people of Nebraska that really need help.
And that is her beautiful smile now. She was just in tears the entire time. Well, Mission of Mercy has gifted over $32 million in free dental work in just the last 3 years. Next year, they plan to come back to bring smiles back to people just like Melissa Wood.